Hey guys, this is Robert Trumet, CTO for AIO Integrations. Welcome to our second episode of The Real Facts. It's a new series we're doing. It's an on-demand series you can watch. So we're keeping them, below 30 minutes for you guys. We know your time's valuable, but we're going to be talking about different topics every week. This is our second episode. Last week we talked about cybersecurity and the real consequences of not having a real plan in place to deal with that, and some options you can do. And that it was our first episode. It was about 20 minutes long. We're going to be expanding on that today. We're going to be talking about should I buy a web server? One of the most common things. We're actually mixing some topics today, and there's reasons why. We're going to give you a real world example today of why CTO services are necessary in a business, and one of the most common mistakes people do in a business. That is buying a server. It's really not needed in most businesses now. Most services are cloud based. You're using a browser to access them. You don't need anything on-prem or on-premise. On-prem is short for on-premise. That means buying a server you physically need in your building. The costs of maintaining that, backing it up, the risks involved with having it and managing it there are far greater than any risk you'll take with it being cloud, especially in enterprise cloud services like Microsoft Office. Those are just, Office 365. Office 365 is very secure, very usable, and the best part is a lot of the things you're actually going to do, we're going to talk about today, you're already paying for. So let's dive right in and talk about some real world costs, and you'll get an idea of where we're going from. So this is a slide that we have pulled out from and used in many webinars we've done, luncheons, things like that. And I just pulled two key factors in this. So I'm assuming that this is a startup business, and I'm going to use that as an example. We got 10 employees, so we're going to buy 10 workstations at $1,000 a piece. We're going to buy a server. We're going to put, Windows Server on it. We're going to buy access licenses for servers. We're going to buy Office for those machines. We're going to turn around and pay an IT company to come out and set it all up for us and make sure it's working properly, set up correctly. Then we're going to have backup services that have both on-site and on-prem to make sure we're safe. And so we're going to have a local backup, and we're going to have an off-site backup for security reasons. And then we're going to pay, this incorporates those costs of having an IT company come out and do that on, maintain our network and support our network over the course of 1 year. Okay. Now that's what that blue bar represents. We're talking about roughly about $38,000. Okay. That's what I call the old school way. So our blue bar is our old school, and the light blue bar is our new school. That is cloud thinking, cloud-based technology. So we're going to assume that this environment for our new school is actually an Office 365 based environment using Office 365 Business Premium Services, okay, which includes your Office apps, includes device management. It's going to include the ability to have a cloud-based drive of 1 terabyte or shared for the company as a shared company drive, and you can create as many instances and security around those as you want. And then also having 1 terabyte of personal space per user, per employee, and the ability to back their workstations up automatically to those accounts. You don't have to worry about backups or what's on those individual machines not being backed up. So you're actually getting a great deal more protection and services, and you're spending about 13 to $17,000 less depending on what you spent. But those figures are very real. So that now becomes capital that I can use for marketing. I can use it for employees. I can use it for growth and use it to get my company off the ground and focus on getting it established and not on paying for piece of hardware sitting in my office. Okay? Real numbers. And I'm going to tell you something. It's really interesting. On one of our webinars last year, we had a guy from Chase sitting in the crowd, and he did business loans. He worked with businesses for business loans. And he kind of told us, he said, wow, that number's high. That's really more than you should be allocating. I said, really? Okay, well, I said, I started explaining the cost for things, and it's so funny that two of our members of our audience who were actually from churches, from nonprofits, actually perked up and said, actually, those are very conservative numbers. And they're like, what do you mean? Well, we run some churches and we're nonprofits, and I can tell you, we try to do things on the cheap. He says that number should be higher. And they actually argued with the Chase guy. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. So I actually have attendees in the thing telling the Chase guy, your numbers are unrealistic. You need to perk those numbers up more. If that's what you're telling them they should be spending, then you're spending far less. And this was them talking about the on-prem thing, that number should actually be quite a bit higher. So my numbers, when I'm showing you here, are very conservative. Okay? Now let's go into replacement. So every 3 to 5 years, it is recommended practice to replace your equipment. You're going to replace your desktops with new ones. You're going to replace your server, and because they're not designed to last that long. And so we call this hardware recycle or hardware. Um, oh, well, I'll tell you, you can tell that this is live because I am just totally screwing up this morning, and it feels like another Monday. But we basically are refreshing the hardware every 3 to 5 years. And that's to make sure that the hardware we're using is one, up to date and keeping up with technology, and two, that our workers are able to work and that our server is going to stay running and not die on us. So the numbers for replacement are very real. That number is around 25,000. That's for a new server. That's have your all your data imaged and backed up or moved over to your new server and set up, and also for your replacement systems. So that number is actually really conservative. I allocated 25,000. That's and that number is, like I said, really conservative. On the other side, the only thing you're replacing is your workstations, and your workstations are, since everything's stored in the cloud, there's not anything has to be moved over. We just have to disconnect those computers, reconnect them to the account, and it will automatically sync everything out of the cloud. So the time involved with setting up the hardware greatly reduced. We don't have to do imaging. We don't do any of that. It's just relinking accounts. Everything's copied and set up for the user. So very simple. Management wise, we don't have to worry about backups because the cloud system is already redundant. It's already being done. You can do backups. There are services for it. Do I feel it's really needed? No. I would say once a month, grab a snapshot on an external drive of the whole thing and throw it in a safe, just for extra keep it off site in a safe. I don't really think you need to do any more than that because of the redundancies and the built-in versioning into the software that's being used. Yeah, I said versioning. That means you get the ability to revert back to prior versions, and depending on what your security settings are, your average user can do. So if he's changing something and accidentally deletes something that he needed 2 versions ago, he can go back to that version and pull that out without even having to call a guy. That's the power of what we're talking about. So you can see massive savings here. Again, this is another $12,000, $13,000 that you're going to be able to save and spend that money on your business, growing your business, marketing, things that actually have some growth effects instead of just assets sitting on a desk or in a closet. So I'm going to talk about now a little bit of these are things, the most common things I hear about. I don't trust the cloud. I don't want my data out there. It's, this really stupid thing about those statements is that you're already using it. If you got an Apple phone, if you got a tablet, if you got an iPad, if you have a Apple phone, guess what? You guys are using cloud. If you're using Office 365, Google Services, OneDrive, Dropbox, OwnCloud, doesn't matter. All those are cloud services. They're all cloud, and they are very secure services. There's nothing wrong with them. Do they have security risks? Yes. But I guarantee you the security risk of you housing your own data in your system, the ability that what you have to do to make sure that server's running all the time, backed up to date, secure. You have to protect against theft of the building, fire in the building, make sure it's an air conditioned environment. There's so many things you have to do to keep your data safe on-prem that is absolutely ridiculous to think that you can do a better job than a multi-million-dollar company who's got a multi-million-dollar investment in redundant hardware, enterprise-level security, things that you couldn't even remotely think to afford. So your data is safe there. And that's why cloud is expanding at 800% per year, is because people are finally getting that. Okay? So here's the crazy part is if you got Office 365, you are a business premium, which is what most people license to get the applications. You already have everything you need to be running 100% cloud based. You didn't even know it. All you needed was people like us to be able to know what you need and set it up for you in a proper way. That's all. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about this. The reason why I'm using this as an example is because this is a perfect example why CTOs are necessary in any size business. And that, I mean, there's services that provide these, but you at a $400 an hour, which is crazy. But we'll talk about that in a minute. So, what can cloud do better? And this is how it helps us IT people and you as business owners. We can more easily set up users, email, network access. You got tools like Teams for collaboration, video communications that come with it. That if you it, they require almost little or no setup. Um, it allows us to manage users, devices, policies, groups, all from the cloud. You guys remember a product called Small Business Server? Long time ago, there was a product that started off, and this was years ago, called Small Business Server. It was meant for companies who were starting a business. They would buy a server, they would put this on it. It included Microsoft Exchange, so you had email and collaboration. It included SharePoint, which allowed you to have kind of an internal intranet website to be able to share and talk, share things with teams. And then you also had it did device and user management for security. Okay, and setting this up, you had to set it up. You're hosting your own email, so everything's there on prem. The only problem about that is letting opening your server up to the internet invites attackers in. It invites, all they got to do is look at public records, figure out your IPs, and they know where you're at. Now you become a target. Um, you do not want that kind of traffic targeting your local network. Very easy to bring, even on fiber. It's very easy to bring a network to its knees by throwing a DDoS attack or a that's called a denial of service attack or a somebody decides that they're going to throw a bot at your RDS server or your Exchange server and try and log into it. So they're going to try and hit that remotely and throw a bunch of machines throwing thousands of passwords an hour at it. Yeah, and then your server becomes overwhelmed trying to deal with that stuff. Don't don't need it. So this uses Azure. That's Microsoft's online Active Directory. Everybody knows what Active Directory it is. It's the core component to Microsoft security. Okay, Azure is the online version of that, but much more heavy duty. It is the grandiosa, the big version of it. And so you get a scaled down version of this that is appropriate for a small business. It allows you to manage your devices, your mobile devices, and a lot of things in regard to security with your data. You can enable things like auto versioning in document libraries, so you can have more than one version. You can revert back to prior versions that were saved. And yes, if you set it up, a regular user can do that without having to contact the IT department. You have self-restore options. So if you delete something, you can go back and pull it back out of your file storage. Built-in redundancies. Microsoft has thousands of data centers that they copy this information across all over the world because they're a global company. But most likely, if you're a U.S. company doing business in the U.S., you're in U.S. data centers. But the beautiful part of this is, as your business grows and you become bigger, and you decide that maybe, hey, we're going to go international, you can actually have your stuff spread across those servers in those locations because they are everywhere. They're in every country pretty much, or within a country of a country. You get into some of these smaller third world countries, they may not be there, but they're going to be next. Okay. And there's even a way to built-in backup of the desktop level into these systems. Again, no extra cost. It's built in the system and will actually back these up to the cloud. Most people don't realize that Office 365 comes with a terabyte of shared Office storage for a public drive for the company, a shared drive. It can be powered by SharePoint and OneDrive. It also comes with a terabyte of personal storage per user. So if you got a 10-person company, you're getting 11 terabytes of storage. And you're getting a total of 50 gigs per mailbox. So you're talking about a good amount of storage here. Most companies buy a terabyte and then whatever comes on their hard drives, but the hard drives aren't ever backed up on the local machine. This is one of the biggest failures of companies. They think, oh, well, I told them to put it on the company drive, so it's going to be there. Not true. Users do what they want to do, and then you don't find out about it until after it's lost. That's unfortunately how it works. So this jumps into something we're gonna talk about here, and that's called compliance and retention. And a lot of companies have liabilities and things you don't even know about. That's because they don't teach you about these things. That's our job as CTOs to know, and this is why this leads right into what we're gonna be talking about CTO services. So we've talked about mistakes that we make about spending money on massive amounts of money on hardware, and how you can save that by going cloud as opposed on-prem, and I can prove that model every day of the week, twice on Sunday. Um, Coming to compliance and retention, most companies don't realize 7 years, guys. It's kind of like your tax returns. 7 years, emails, document retentions. Documents are now considered legal, binding document, things that you have, like Word documents. It doesn't have to be printed. If it is an electronic document, new attorneys now do what's called e-discovery, which means that they can basically search your network for any related things. Let's say you're in a lawsuit, you get subpoenaed, they're going to send an attorney over to e-discovery. It means they're going to tap your network and they're looking for any documents, any emails related to that topic across your entire network. And if they find things have been removed or deleted within 7 years regarding those topics and are able to recover them, you have now been basically, you've destroyed and violated compliance and retentions, and you can be held liable for that. Yeah, I hate to say it, but it's true. So, email and all electronic documents 7 years. Now that doesn't mean you can't delete them, but that means you have to have a system like Office 365 that has compliance and retention policies in place that even though you delete them, they're archived. So they're out of the system, you don't see them, but if I need to get back to them, they're there. And I can easily bring them back. Those are compliance and retention policies that are there to protect your business. And then after 7 years, those documents can go away safely. Okay? That is why it is so important to understand what your legal and your liabilities are when it comes to electronic data, as well as whether should you or are you meeting HIPAA or PCI compliant. If you are storing credit card numbers or dealing with credit card numbers, like running a local version of QuickBooks, you have to be PCI compliant. Yep, that means you got to prove that you're PCI compliant. Your network is safe to be able to store credit cards locally. HIPAA, you're dealing with health data or any kind of personal data like social security numbers, things like that. You have to be compliant. You have to use two-factor authentication and everything. All communications have to be secure, which they have to be done through HTTPS or better. And so you got a lot of things that happen. And what happens if you're not in compliance? Oh my God, that's a can of worms. So there are companies out there that just go in, they go in and they actually do what's called HIPAA compliance, and they really don't. Some don't charge you anything, some do, but they come in and they look at what you. Let's say you're a doctor's office, for example, or a dentist office, and you want to know if you're compliant. They'll come in and they'll test, they'll look at it, and they'll tell you what's missing, where you fail, and what you have to do to fix it. I highly recommend this, and this is something as people as do CTO services. We have companies we work with. A lot of them do it for free. You will pay to have to remediate a lot of those. But if you're doing CTO services, a lot of those can be actually done by us. So it just depends on what it is and what they find and what has to be done. So these are really important things about compliance and retention, and this is leading into the topic I'm talking about CTO. Okay. There's one last thing I'm going to talk about security, and this was a slide out of our cybersecurity slide. I pulled it in. I want you to understand that it used to be a while ago that breaches weren't important to the FBI. I mean, honestly, if you're a business, you get a breach, they didn't really care. The problem is it's happening at such a level. It's a multi-billion dollar business. And when I mean multi-billion, I'm talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. 142, I believe, billion at the last count for last year. It was a big number, and it's doubled year after year after year, and it's not getting any better. It's a business now, and believe me, they know how to compromise you and how to put you over a barrel to where you've got to pay them, and that's why it's working because most people don't understand how to protect their business. Our last slide can tell you all about that. I'm not going to go into that here, but let's talk about the fact that if you have a breach of any kind, I don't care if it's from an ex-employee, an employee, a contractor, or ransomware, you have to report to the FBI within 24 hours. Okay, they got to know. They're going to send someone out just to check it out, see how bad it was, find out if they can trace who's responsible for it, what type of malware ransomware was used, because that a lot of times will allow them to look, and also they'll look at where the data was transmitted, and those two things right there will tell them, that intelligence will tell them who is responsible for it. Now here's the thing: If you have cybersecurity insurance and you get caught just once with one break-in, you're never going to get it again. Forget it. The policy will be, they're already crazy expensive as it is, but you will never get insurance again if you've been breached this one. Okay? And a lot of claims don't even get paid for a lot of reasons you don't know. So these are things as CTO services being provided to you, we would provide for your company so you understand. One, you got to prove that employees have attended a cybersecurity awareness program, something our company does with our services cost. Or to use any of our services, you get free cybersecurity awareness training. Okay? Because we really want to stop the spread of this. But we want to make your employees aware of what to look for and make them smarter. Your first line of defense, how they are hacking people now, is through end users. They're not hacking networks, they're hacking users. So it's very, very important they understand what a threat is. Your company has to prove that it has proactive security policies. That means you have to have multi-factor authentication. You have to have backups. You have to prove that you have good anti-malware, anti-ransomware protection. You're not just using the base stuff. You're actually paying to have some kind of commercial protection other than what comes free with Windows. If that breach was determined to be conducted by a state actor or affiliated with a state actor, not going to pay. If that breach was caused by a company contractor, employee, ex-employee, not going to pay. All these things are reasons companies use to refuse to pay claims. So it's very important that you protect yourself against as many of these reasons as you can. Okay, and to reduce your amount of risk. And we can, like I said, last week's covered all this, how to do it, and how to reduce your risk by as much as 87% across the board. That's a huge number. So definitely watch it when you get a chance. So let's go on and talk about CTO services. You've heard me mention it a couple times. What is it? Okay. CTO stands for Chief Technical Officer. Our duties include a lot of things we talked about today. Do we need a server? What kind of services should we be using cloud or on-prem? Should we be using a CRM? If so, what kind of CRM? We look at those things. We look at how you do business. We make a judgment call on and report directly to you, not your IT people, to you, and tell you as a business owner, this is what you need to be doing in order. This is going to give you the best bang for your buck to accomplish where you want to go from A to B. And we actually sit down with you. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, what we do. But we actually sit down with you to get to understand your business, how you want it to work, where the bottlenecks are now, and we make a plan to get past those and to get it working the way you want it to work. When it comes down to it, you don't want to be an IT guy. You don't want to be a CTO. You want to do what you went into business for. You want to do your business. So let us handle that for you for a fraction of the cost. CTOs are these are six-figure guys that get paid. We charge businesses $500 a month to do this. That's it. And we handle all aspects of it. We don't care if we're managing your network. We don't care if we're the MSP. That's a managed service provider, or if you got internal IT people, it doesn't matter. The fact is, a CTO is an executive level person that works on the executive level with the owner and helps them carry out their agenda and pick the technology and govern that technology within the business. And we make sure that the people below you are doing what they need to do in the IT side because we understand what their job is and what should be done. We're not expecting you guys to be IT experts, but we do expect that you know that we know what we're doing to do that for you. That's why AIO offers CTO services starting at $500 a month for businesses in any size. We have businesses that are 5 employees. We have some that are 20. We have some that are 100. The fee that we charge per month is based on the number of employees, but our highest fee doesn't exceed $2,000 a month. That's for like a 100-employee company. That's because there's a lot more to govern in a 100-employee company than there is a 5 or 10-employee company. But the base fee starts at 5, and it goes up by number of employees. So we'd be glad to talk to you about that and how it works. So what it comes down to now is, what does it cover? So we manage all the providers. That means your internet service provider, your phone provider, your mobile phone provider, your IT services providers. We provide a personalized help desk and ticketing system with your branding, your logo, that is for you to track all issues. In other words, all issues come through us that are technology based. If it's affecting your business and your ability to work, then we are in that loop and we are managing that to make sure it gets taken care of on a timely basis. We perform a technology services audit. This right here pays for our service usually the first month or more. We came into a company once. I'll give you a perfect example. We came to a law firm and they were being billed by AT&T for a T1 circuit that was not being used for 7 years. It was not even on the wall or hooked up to anything. It was all the way back in the closet, and it was never hooked up to the client. And they had never utilized it in 7 years. They were being billed for it. Had no idea until we actually took pictures and showed them this was never in there, never installed. So they were able to go back to AT&T and T, and being attorneys, they actually sued them and won over $250,000 within 6 months. Yeah, no joke. They got a $250,000 settlement for not providing those services. They got enough money to pay for our service for the next 20 years. Yeah, that's seriously. That's the kind of stuff we find. And we do find that. We find people that are paying for gig circuits but only getting a fraction of what they're paying for. We hold them responsible. We have a guy we work with for connectivity. No joke. I can give him your address, and within 10 minutes, he can tell me every single connectivity option on your door and how much it costs at the retail and wholesale level. And 9 times out of 10, we can provide a better connection basis with redundancy for cheaper than their current setup is costing them. So those kind of things are important. Am I getting what I need for my phone services? In other words, if I use the phone a lot, are people getting busy signals and not able to get through? What do I need to do about that? Do I have enough allocated for that? Um, what am I tracking my customer stuff? What's my CRM? What am I using for accounting? Do I need to use QuickBooks or QuickBooks Online or something else? Peachtree or some of these other services that are out there. These are things you need to understand. We work with all of them in all sorts of different industries, so we understand what fits your model and what is going to be the most cost effective to your model. We're going to provide basic cybersecurity awareness training in our CTO packages to all your employees on a. We're going to educate them, make sure they're aware, make sure they know what to look out for, and help them be smarter employees and protect your network. Because that's where they're coming in now. They're coming in through your users, they're hacking your users. So let's protect them. We're going to cover on and on premise workers. So, in other words, it doesn't matter whether they're in the office or they're halfway across the country. We don't care. We're going to support those guys. We're going to make sure they get what they need. We manage those contracts. We're going to keep you aware of contracts. We're going to help you negotiate contracts because we know what you should be paying for those services. So someone comes into your office and says, "Wow, I'm going to give you a gig fiber and it's only going to cost $600 a month." We're going to look at that and go, "Yeah, that's really great, but actually they should only be paying $250 for that." And that's because it's a difference between a retail and a wholesale contract, and we know the difference. They don't know that we know that. So right there, I just saved you $400 a month, or 350. So you can see where these things become very big cost factors and savings factors for you guys. We meet with you at regular times, so depending on what your needs are, we'll meet with you once a week, once a month, once a quarter. It just really depends on you as a business owner and what how I don't like the term needy, but what your requirements are to be with us and feel like you're on the same page and feel like you're in the loop. Okay? And from an advisory role, we help you. We actually can become, and this is totally voluntary to you. We can act as an advisory role to your board. What that means is we will sit down in your board meetings, and when technology issues come up, we will provide you with advice on growth, on what you're going to do. We will help you with budgetary needs for IT. We're going to help you plan and help you make your company grow efficiently in that side. We also do workflow evaluation recommendations. So we look at how you do business, we look at how you're using technology to do it, and we will find and evaluate and show you tools that will help get rid of the busy work in your life and help you work on the truly productive work that grows your business through automation. What are the optional benefits? You don't have to do what we tell you to do. We're just giving you advice, okay? We're telling you what our 2 cents is based on our 32 years of experience managing small businesses and the technology side. You don't have to do it. Oh, I wouldn't recommend that. A little bit of my comedy there. But what you do get is you get 32 years of CTO experience across many industries, across many types of businesses, and you get to avoid common and very expensive mistakes that are made by many small business owners. So, well worth the money. And we have many companies we do this for, and size is not a factor. Okay. The smallest company we have working for that we do CTO services for employees. So it doesn't matter. It's what you deem valuable, and I can tell you, we have saved every one of our clients money. We believe in building long-term relationships with our clients. A lot of our clients we've been working with at this level for 10, 12, 15 years. That's a big deal. So where do we go from here, guys? It's very simple. We get started. We just have a free consultation. We sit down and we want 2 hours of your time. We want you to get the idea of budget out of your mind. Okay, sit down undistracted with us for a couple of hours for the sake of this meeting and tell us how you'd like your business to run in a perfect world. Just assume that you could have anything you need to do your business. How do you want it to run? What do you envision? How do you envision your business running in an ideal state? This allows us to understand what your vision is. If we can't understand what your vision is for your own business, then we can't be expected to help you accomplish that vision. So this helps us understand that vision. Second, we talk about what you're doing now. Okay, what's happening now? Where are the bottlenecks? What are you good at? What are you bad at? We talk to employees. We find out about interpersonal relationships. We find out what's hurting the company, what's helping it, where the true strengths are with people. Maybe you got somebody who's got a great sales background, but he's a data entry dude, and he's really not being utilized in a way that he could truly be utilized. But he's charismatic, he's good with people, he builds instant trust. Maybe that's a guy you need on your phone talking with your customers, doing some proactive selling, doing some, you know, marketing to your clients over the phone while you're, conducting basic customer service. We understand where those talents lie, and we help you look at how those talents are being utilized within your business. And sometimes that involves job reassignments. Sometimes we'll reassign roles or make recommendations to reassign roles, and then that's up to you to say, yeah, let's pull the trigger on that or not. We also look at how technology is being utilized in your business and what we can do to increase workflow and eliminate busy work. What do I mean busy work? Uh, and booking information in more than one place. Yeah, I'm putting it in QuickBooks, but I'm also putting it in the spreadsheet so I can track what's going on. And I don't really have a way to track what's going on with my business. What would you say if I could provide a system to you that could track everything you do with a customer? It doesn't matter how they got to you, through the web, through email, walking in your door, calling you, emailing you. I could account for every bit of communication you had with that client from day one. In other words, you can see the phone calls are made, you can see the emails are made, you can see what you billed them, what you've done, how much business you've done, and who talked to them last, what they talked about, and you can do it in one screen. Exists, absolutely exists. We do it every day for people. That's the kind of technology I'm talking about bringing to your company, is a way to be able to operate in a fashion that is cost effective, effective as far as how it communicates with a client, and making everybody be on the same page without duplication of effort. All right. So that's it. We'll present you a roadmap on how to get there. If you agree with it, we move forward and help you get there. The way as your partner. That's what we do. Again, my name is Robert Trimbath. I really appreciate you joining us today. We're going to be taking some Q&A stuff in a little bit. That won't be part of our recorded session online. So, guys, I'll be signing off for our recording for now. But thank you for tuning in, and we will see you again next week.